3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
I love the applause whenever I win that competition. I love it.
And it feels like you win that competition every week, Andy.
When you are so good at it like I am, well, that you just need to practice more, Dennis.
I just can't go monk. I just can't go monk like you.
I guess not. And I see it's sleeveless in February day still at the Dennis abode.
It's sleeveless in January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, November, and December.
Nobody wants to see your gun show just because you saw Reacher and just because you think you're as close in height to Reacher as you think you are does not mean you can show the gun show like Reacher can.
If you look at Alan Richson and you look at me, you're like, damn, you guys are like twinsies. They were like, yo, if we need a stunt double, are you up for it? And I'm like, nah, I can't travel that far. You'll have to find somebody closer.
I can't go all the way up to Canada to shoot this.
Yeah, that's actually colder than this.
You get rid of that Trudeau nut job and I'll think about it.
Oh, yeah? I'll just hitch a ride with the truckers on the way up to Canada.
There you go. There you go.
And look at AJ already joined us. This is an unannounced. We just decided to do one. AJ's already in the house, and nobody knew this. This was a stealth broadcast, just like the new stealth Omicron variant. We are a stealth broadcast.
I've got so much immunity now from having it and all that fun stuff. I'm not worried about it.
So, Andy, why are we doing a stealth broadcast today?
Because we have binge watched Reacher and we went and saw yesterday the movie Moonfall.
Sure did.
I'm just I was expecting a little more than just sure did, but okay.
Yeah, that's because you froze up again. You were like,
now I'm going to have to pop it on my phone just so I can look in front of me and see what we're looking at. Hold on.
Yeah. So, yeah, we did. We went and saw Moonfall yesterday and on the big screen, and it is definitely a movie you want to see on a big screen.
So wait, we're doing Moonfall first, it sounds like?
You know what? Let's just do Reacher. No, let's save Reacher for last.
I mean, you just literally started going into Moonfall, so I feel like
we did
Moonfall.
Both, and the problem is we've talked so much about it that we can't separate them. Let's just start with Moonfall.
All right. Yeah, so Moonfall is Roland Emmerich, if I remember correctly, the director. Yep. Mr. Disaster movie, it seems like. The trailer really enticed me in the beginning, like the very initial trailer, because in the initial trailer, and there will be some spoilers in this, it just came across like, oh no, the moon is out of orbit. It's getting closer to Earth, which I was like, wow, I'm really curious how they're going to get out of this because that is a disaster. I mean, there is no happy ending if that were to happen.
Right. Right. And
You
that's what
know,
I'm thinking. It's like the earthquakes, it's like the tidal waves. And I'm thinking it's a disaster movie. And, how's this going to end? It can't end very well. What a disaster. So, needless to say, there's a big twist in this.
there's a huge twist. It stars, just so everybody knows, it stars Patrick Wilson, who played Night Owl in Watchmen, and he's done a ton of other things. I like him as an actor. It stars who I really like as an actress, Halle Berry, who, let me tell you, is like very played in this movie. She's a NASA astronaut, scientist, whatever. She's not toting around a lot of makeup. She's not really made up at all, which just shows you how much of a natural beauty Halle Berry is to go, yes, look at her, just basically no real, just not made up, like you'd see on a red carpet and just going, wow, she's just your average, ordinary, woman in this movie who's a NASA astronaut scientist, and she looks fantastic.
She's a little older than us. And
She's
she
56,
definitely
I think.
holds up better than we do. I hate to say it.
Well, speak for yourself, Dennis.
I was, and you.
No. Please.
We don't see any of that gray tinge in her hair. She looked great. She looked great. Patrick Wilson, I'm a fan of his too. Love him in The Conjurings. He's just a great actor, and he was awesome in it. There was one actor who's actually I didn't think was going to be in it. I think so. I think
so. I mean, it's two different roles.
Exactly. They're apples and oranges, but I think for the role she had, she played it very well.
Yeah.
The argument was because Andy and his daughter went, and then my wife and I went, and then John Bradley showed up on the screen. And at first I'm like, oh, it's Nick Frost. And my wife's like, it's not Nick Frost. I'm like, that's Nick Frost. And she's like, no. And Andy's like, who's Nick Frost? And I'm like, the guy was Simon Pegg. He's in like all the movies. And I love Nick Frost. And then she goes, no, dumbass. He's the one from Game of Thrones. And I'm like, oh my God, it is John Bradley. So she was right. I was wrong.
And here's the thing. The volume Dennis is speaking right now is the volume him and his wife speak during the movie while they're arguing about this. And I leaned over and I go, do you guys not know how to whisper? Granted, it wasn't sold out. There wasn't anybody else in our row. There's probably 15 people in the theater max. But I am not kidding. The volume he was just talking is the volume they were going back and forth with about this. And I'm like, oh my God. I thought the only person I had to tell to use an inside voice was a child or whisper, because there's a movie playing right now.
And then I leaned over to my wife. She goes, what did Andy say? And I said, he said you need to start whispering.
I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, what the hell?
So the
anyhow.
Interesting thing, those three, Halle Berry, Patrick Wilson, and John Bradley, are the main trilogy of this cast. And they're really the important characters throughout. You get to learn their backgrounds, their histories. I don't want to do a lot of spoilers. However, you've got all of these other cool characters. You've got his son, Michael Pena plays like because he's the ex and Michael Pena is the new husband with their
Not
family.
The Halle Berry.
You've got all of these different little side family stories going on, dealing with the main characters and stuff like that. And I will tell you, this was an overly long movie.
Yes.
Needlessly, mainly because all of these side stories that they had going on in this disaster movie, I could give a shit about any of these other characters.
Right. I agree. AJ says, Dennis, my 77-year-old dad talks at the same volume all the time. It's perfectly natural for old timers like you. I agree. Exactly. His hearing must be going. Yeah. The thing with this movie is, now my stop it. Hold on. No, stop.
I'm not sure I understand.
That's because you're not supposed to be talking right now. There we go.
See, so it's my hearing and your eyesight because everything looks fine.
The thing with this movie is it was 2.5 hours, or maybe 2:15. But even if it was only 2 hours and 15 minutes, it felt long. I actually, and once again, this doesn't happen unless the movie gets boring. I dozed off for probably 5-10 minutes during the movie. And I don't think I didn't feel like I missed anything. I didn't like lean over and go, Dennis, I just woke up. What happened? The moon does go out of its orbit. It's coming closer to Earth. It deals with, well, there's going to be spoilers. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert. The moon is a mega structure, and just the surface of the moon is basically constructed so it looks like a moon, object in space and not this big mega structure. There's AI involved, which is like the main threat and why it's being pulled out of orbit closer to Earth. None of this stuff, yes, it is spoilerish, but honestly, I don't think it's that bad, because one of the other trailers we saw, and this trailer really actually didn't make me not want to see the movie, but took a little excitement out when I saw it. They actually showed in one of the last trailers the AI. And as soon as you see it, you don't know in the trailer it's this artificial intelligence. You think it's alien or something. But right then you go, oh, it's this other thing, alien, whatever, that's causing the moon to go out of orbit. And I don't know, like it works because at that point you realize the humans can hopefully solve the problem, get the moon back to where it should be, and there's a happy ending. Compared to the first trailer where you're just like, holy shit, the moon is out of orbit, getting closer to Earth. What's the happy ending? There really can't be one, because
right. I was thinking in the original trailer, it's just going to be a disaster movie, and all we're going to do is get beautiful shots of bad things happening to the Earth, which we did get. There was the special effects and everything were fantastic. The moon, all the different shots of the moon getting so close to the Earth, all these gravity wave effects. It was great. And that twist, I had to give you an idea, I had to go to the bathroom in the middle of the movie, and I'm like, I think I can go right here and not miss anything. And I came back and they're like, yeah, you didn't miss anything. So the beginning setup is really good. And then there's this twist, but after this big lull, and then after the twist, you're like, holy crap, because John Bradley's basically this conspiracy theorist kind of guy. Yeah. And he's the one that nobody will listen to. NASA won't listen to. He's a kook. And he winds up being quite a charming character. And you kind of feel bad for him and his mother, who's a cat lady and has Alzheimer's. And but like I said, there's all of these side characters. And, spoiler alert, one of them dies in the movie right away. And I was like, okay, don't care. Honestly, I didn't shed a tear. I didn't well up. I didn't care. None of these side characters were really worth having in the movie. In my opinion, I looked it up. It's 2 hours and 10 minutes long. It feels like 2.5 hours.
Yeah. And you need the side characters. You do need them, but they just didn't do a good job of building up any backstory or anything with them where you cared about them. Right. I mean, I'll be honest. I didn't actually care about Patrick Wilson's character, Halle Berry's character, that other dude. It was really a movie just to go look at these special effects we can do. I really wasn't that impressed, to be honest. And there were certain special effects. I don't know if you felt this way. I meant to ask you this. There were certain special effects that I looked at and I was like, are they using miniatures?
Yes. Yes.
You
The
caught that
opening
too?
sequence where they have this tidal wave.
Yes.
It was a Godzilla movie. It was an old Godzilla movie where I could see a guy dressing up in a rubber Godzilla and walking through and crushing the cardboard structures.
It
And I
looked
was
like,
like,
yeah. So
wow,
Dennis,
that's really
so I
bad.
was I was trying to not give it up. Dennis did. That's fine. Obviously, the moon gets closer. It causes these huge tidal waves, and there's this huge tidal wave, and it's coming over the west coast. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, that looks like miniatures. That
Yeah.
looks like they built miniatures and just dumped water in. No, and I'm thinking, no, not with how cheap CG is. Why would they do that? But I just got flashbacks of the original Superman movie when the dam broke. And I was like, I'm serious, man. During that scene, I'm like, are they seriously using miniatures here? No, they
Yep.
can't be.
But then you can contrast that where that sticks out like a sore thumb to they've got multiple space scenes when they're doing spacewalks and stuff. Stuff happens, the shuttle's flipping around. Everything in space looks absolutely phenomenal.
And well, even like you said, some of the best scenes on Earth is seeing the moon so close to the Earth that literally you're looking out over the horizon and you just see this huge globe of the moon come up. And you're just like, oh my God, that thing's only like 1,000 miles away now. And it's just so huge, taking up the entire sky and stuff. And it
Yes.
looked phenomenal.
Yes. Yes. So much of this movie, the CG stuff looked great. Then when you get to see the inside of the moon, it reminded me, I leaned over to my wife and I'm like, wow, this is V'ger from Star Trek, the motion picture. The scope of it, the background sound that they had going on, it was very reminiscent of that. And it was very well done. Again, it was really cool. The AI that they've got going on, the conflict that you see going in there, it's really well done. This movie's got a lot of peaks and valleys. So one thing it doesn't do is it doesn't flatline you, or just, you really kind of want a movie to go up, 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 and then peak, and then get your conclusion, and then come back down. This movie goes up, and you're like, oh my God, that's amazing. Oh, I think I'm going to doze off. Oh, there it goes. Oh, there it goes. Yeah.
Right. Right. I got to be honest. You started off the show. Oh, look at that! He's got a little diet soda there, so he can drink. God damn it! I stuck my okay, let's just go into the rating of it. We don't need to talk about it. I'll go first.
Yeah,
because I'm very curious to your reaction. I'm giving it 5.5 out of 10.
So we're not far off. I'm giving it a 6.0.
I was almost there with the 6.0, but I couldn't do it because it tips it just that much closer over the halfway point. I couldn't go with a flat 5. I think a 5.5 is good. You know, the only reason I would go see it in theaters is because of some of the special effects. Because I'm telling you, that scene where it looks like miniatures, I don't even think on a big screen TV that's going to come across that great.
No, it won't. It won't. But I gave it a 6, and I actually told Susie that in the car. I'm like, yeah, I'll never own this movie. I am glad I saw it on the big screen because the really cool special effects of the moon and stuff are amazing on this huge screen. And really, it's the coolest part. Some of the story's fine. The character dialogue, John Bradley was my favorite character through it, so I kind of wound up pulling
He was good
him for it, and he had the best character development, so I liked him. But I'll never own this movie, so I went 6.0. It's just fresh enough, so on Rotten Tomatoes, anything above a 6 is fresh. I am glad I saw it in the theaters once. I'll never own this one because there were just too many flaws with it, but it wasn't horrible. It's a good popcorn flick.
I would rather watch Eternals again than this movie.
Oh God, I don't know. You fell asleep through both of these, so that's kind of hard.
I did nod off during both of them, but I'd rather see Eternals again just to see what I nodded off through in Eternals. Whereas this movie, I just don't think I missed anything. 5.5. It's not a great score. I will say I was a little let down, and it wasn't even because of the twist with the moon being a mega structure and the artificial intelligence. And there's a lot more to it that they explained than that. That it wasn't even that. I was just let down. I mean, I can't.
It's good. It's good. The important thing is we sat there and said, great fellows giving the CGC rating on the movie, and you just saw, right? Yeah, I know. I'm good that way. And
She's like, whisper sweet nothings in my ear. And Dennis is like, I give Moonfall 6.0. She's like, that's why I'm going to go sleep in another room because your pillow talk sucks.
Well, the good news is we binge watched. Susie and I binge watched. So I have to be honest, Reacher, my wife has read all the books and she's excited about the new book that came out. I wasn't that big on the Tom Cruise ones. And my wife was excited to see this. So we sat down and I'm like, I'll watch it. Hopefully it's better than the Tom Cruise movies. And it was so good that her and I binge watched it in one day. We stayed up until 2 o'clock in the morning.
We started watching it roughly at about the same time from, our different homes. Cause I watched Peacemaker first Friday night. And then I texted Dennis and I said, I'm starting Reacher. And he goes, so are we. And then Saturday, he's like, we finished it at 2 a.m. And I'm like, damn, man, I went to bed at like 11:30. I got through 4 episodes, but I watched it last night after dinner. And Dennis, you were right. Episode 6 ended. There were 2 left. It was a little late. And I was like watching episode 6 and it was really good. And I'm like, I might wait for 7 and 8 tomorrow. And then the cliffhanger at 6. And I was like, damn it, I've got to watch 7. And then 7 ended and I was like, son of a bitch, I got to watch 8. Oh my God. Full confession, I've never read any of the books. I've only seen the Tom Cruise movies. I didn't fall in love with the Tom Cruise movies, but at the same time, I did not hate them. I was just, I thought they were okay. And the thing is, because I never read the books, I didn't know that Tom Cruise in the movies didn't physically match Reacher, the character from the books. But once I found that out, I did look at those movies in a different light. And then when the announcement came out last year that they were going to be making this Reacher show for Amazon, everybody was like, "Oh my God, they should cast Vince Vaughn because he's tall enough and he's brawny enough. They should cast, rumors were just flying around." And then they cast Alan Ritchson from Smallville fame, Aquaman, and most recently Hawk from Titans. And I was like, oh yeah, that dude is the man for Reacher.
Yes. They did a really good job because in the books, he's like 6'5". And in real life, Andy looked it up, he's 6'2", but they filmed it. He's got the big boots on. His head's huge. I mean, my wife always talks about the fact that his hand can actually just fit over an entire guy's face and crushes his skull. And they utilize all the different things to show how big and scary. And literally, he just has to look at somebody and they'll back down. And they do all of the tropes from the books.
Oh no, you're frozen. Now who's frozen? Dennis is frozen. Can everybody hear me? I'm moving. So I think Dennis is frozen. I don't believe I am. So I will continue until Dennis's screen unfreezes. That is such a great shot for him to freeze on. I thought the casting of Reacher was great. Alan, great actor. Dennis must have had an issue because he just bailed out. So Dennis will be back. AJ nailed it. That is quite the awkward pose. Dennis will be back. Oh, AJ says my video's still good. So my video's still good. I don't know what happened with Dennis. The casting of Reacher, Alan Ritchson, I believe that's his last name. God, I'm so bad with names. Anyhow, he's fantastic. He's super imposing. He has great facial expression and such. Oh, you're back.
Internet went down. I saw everything freeze on here and there. Wow. Internet went down. Oh, we're down, Johnny. We're down.
We're down. Anyhow, you'll pick up what I'm throwing down. I was just talking about the casting being so good with Alan playing Reacher, his facial expression, the delivery of the dialogue, seeing just how he portrayed Hawk, who's another badass tough guy, but a different type in Titans compared to Reacher, who's definitely more the strong silent type. But when he speaks, he always speaks with a purpose. And he does, have these, there's a little bit of humor to the show. And, the few lines of dialogue that Reacher has that you chuckle at is just his dry sense of humor. The female, as Dennis knows, even though I just finished watching it last night. Roscoe is the female cop in the show that he bonds with. I've never seen that actress before. At least she didn't ring a bell.
Her name's Willa Fitzgerald. She's adorable. She's absolutely adorable
really is.
in this.
If I was going to say anything about her negatively, casting wise, I'd say she looked too young to play that part, because she really looked like, in the right clothing, she could be an 18-year-old in college.
She does. She looks very young. She does.
Now, when she was in her police uniform with her hair pulled back, you're kind of going, okay, I guess she's probably in her 20s. Because, I don't know how old Reacher is supposed to be. I've never read the books. I don't know if they've ever said how old he is. But the actor's like 37, 38, I believe.
Yeah.
So
that's probably pretty close, because he's seen a lot of tours. And he was in the military a long time, so he fits in really well. She fits in, I thought, pretty well, actually. She's a young deputy, and they talk about that. And some of the guys pick on her at the beginning, and to show she's kind of young. Malcolm Goodwin plays Finley, and he was great. He's from Boston. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He comes down south. He's got a lot of little quirks. And Reachers can, you're divorced, you quit smoking 6 months ago. He picks up all these little, because details matter.
That's right. Well, one of the
main three characters were fantastic, I thought.
Everybody was fantastic. There's a scene. So no spoilers in regard to story, but there were a couple funny lines in it that cracked me up. And at one point, Finley's always wearing a tweed suit. He's always wearing a suit, very well dressed. And at one point, his jacket's off, his shirt's off, and he just has his undershirt on, which is a sleeveless tank top. And Reacher looks at him and goes, hey, you're looking pretty jacked, Finley. And Finley looks at Reacher and he goes, really? You think so? And he kind of flexes a little bit.
He's flexing.
and Reacher goes, so Finley goes, really? You think so? And Reacher goes, no. And that's like my second favorite little back and forth.
Tell him your first one.
Huh? The first one, they go to this restaurant called Jolene's. And, this takes place in Georgia, small town Georgia. They go to this restaurant called Jolene's, which is known for chicken and barbecue and, good Southern food. And it's Reacher, Finley, and Roscoe, the female cop, So Reacher sits down and he's literally ordered like a half rack of ribs. He ordered like everything. And then the female cop got like a chicken sandwich and fries or something. And then Finley, the dude, tweed suit wearing Boston guy, just got a salad, and Reacher hands him his salad, and he goes, "I felt so embarrassed ordering this." And it was just the perfect line delivery. It was great. The way the relationships between the three characters built and grew throughout the 8 episodes was fantastic. In the beginning, Reacher and Finley were butting heads. They didn't get along. But as the show evolved, as the story evolved, the characters evolved, they grew into this friendship that wasn't forced, but as they basically got to know each other through this case and became more aware of each other's past and where each of the characters was coming from, you could see that they did have more things in common. And I thought that was great. They did a great job of flashing back to Reacher's childhood. And the actor that played young Reacher was the actor that played Will Robinson from the current Lost in Space on Netflix. He was fantastic.
Maxwell Jenkins, we saw him, and I was like, oh my God, it's Will Robinson. But then his brother that plays young Joe, I was like, oh my God, is that his like real brother? Because the two kids look literally like their brothers. So we actually had to look them up. Not related at all. Gavin White's the brother. But I mean, they look so great. I mean, they look just like brothers. So that was fantastic. Bruce McGill plays the new sheriff. He's one of my favorite part actors. You know, the sheriff from My Cousin Vinny.
But you know the problem. Here's okay. So not everything can be perfect. The problem with that casting of him and what was the rich dude's name? Kleiner.
Yeah.
Is that it? So there's a rich guy in town. He opens up a plant in town. He brings these jobs, all this stuff to the small town. So all the townspeople love him. The problem is when you see the two actors, the guy that played Kleiner and the guy that plays the new sheriff, out of the gate, you're like, these guys are always cast as shithead bad guys. So even though you know it, unless you're like my kid who doesn't, she's 18. She doesn't have the history with these actors that we do. She wouldn't. But if you're our age and and you're into theater and film and stuff, you see these actors and you automatically go, they're always cast as bad guys. I mean, I guess one of the downsides of Reacher, there was a lot of stuff that you could go, oh, I bet this is going to happen. And then it does.
Yeah. 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 My wife, so she's sitting there and she's smug through the entire watching because she's read all this. She knows exactly the book. This entire first season is basically one novel. And I'm like, oh my God, he's going to be bad. And he's the one doing this and he's doing this. And her feet are sitting there wavering and she's looking all smug. And she goes, oh my God, you like literally figured out like the movie, like right away, the show, and you nailed almost all the surprises. And I'm like, yeah, this is to me pretty straightforward, but it was so well done. I don't care that there's not everything has to be like M. Night Shyamalan and have a 90-degree turn on everything that's going to blow your mind. I didn't mind that this one was more straightforward. I loved the acting. I loved the fight scenes. I loved the dialogue, the setting. There was nothing that I really didn't like other than the part that you mentioned. You kind of knew who was going to be the good guy and bad guys.
And I think they did it. I think they did it well because even though you knew that, you didn't know the backstory. You didn't know how they tied into each other.
Right.
You didn't know the motivations. That it was almost like, you know what? We're going to give the audience this little morsel by going, yes, you guys can probably figure out these two dudes are not good, but you don't know why, and you don't know what they're up to. So we still got you hooked to
Yes.
find out.
And they do a great job of doing flashbacks throughout the series to help fill in some of the pieces, particularly for those of us who didn't read the books.
Right.
And they did a great job of filling it in. Even when we're done, my wife absolutely loved the series. She can't wait for the next season, whenever that's going to fall. So with that being said, we should probably give it our CGC rating.
Oh, dude, I'm going out on this one. I'm going a straight up 9-0, baby. I am so excited for season 2. I just can't wait for the next season. Like you said, I thought all the acting was great. I believed, even though I recognized most of the actors, I believed every one of them in their role. I wasn't looking at Alan, who played Reacher, going, oh, he's just doing Hawk.
Yep.
He's just pissed off and angry like Hawk. Nope. It was totally different. It was a different side of him. Same with the actor that played Finley and the sheriff and Kleiner. They all they're all so good at their jobs that I wasn't like, oh, this is just a takeoff of when he played this guy or that guy. I thought the story was really well done. Even when they were dropping nuggets as the show went on about obviously what the bad guys are up to, because we don't want to spoil it.
Yep.
But you still didn't know how they were going about it. And it was fun. It was like it was a great mystery action adventure show. And yeah, I cannot wait. I really hope season 2 is basically this same time next year. You know, get these 8 episodes shot in a year.
I'm going 9-4.
Whoa.
This is probably a huge surprise to me, maybe because my expectations were much lower after the Tom Cruise ones. There's a reason why we binged watched this thing straight through in one day. We weren't going to at all. And each episode almost is like a cliffhanger, and it leaves you to the point where you want to immediately sit down and watch it. I'm almost glad, and Andy and I may disagree on this, I'm glad it all dropped at once, because I would be like, oh my God, what happened? I can't wait for next week. And then I have to go back, try and remember some of the stuff. This was so good. I binge watched all 8 episodes, and I'm glad I was able to do it. It was phenomenal. My wife, like I said, she's a huge fan of the books. She loved it. We can't wait. This was a home run. Amazon, you surprised the hell out of me with this one. Good job.
Now you just need to go watch Jack Ryan.
I do want to watch Jack Ryan, and this will be for another time. I did finish the Ozarks because Andy was trying to get me to. When I was in Florida, he sat down and watched all the Ozarks, so I had to find time to binge watch that. Plus, I'm reading one of Joe's novels that he wanted me to look over, so I've been trying to find time to do that. So it's just been really busy, but it's been good.
It's been so busy.
Yeah, I can say that, and I'm not even drawing First Man.
You're not. If only you could, you'd be a little more help to me.
Yep, couldn't help you on that end.
No, I know. But that is why we want to drop in today and talk about these, why they were fresh of mind. So if you're dying for new content to watch, great episodic, I will say if you can spread out those 8 episodes over the course of 4 weeks, 2 a week, or 8 weeks, 1 a week, do it, because I'm sitting there going through Reacher withdrawal. If not, just binge it. I can't say enough good things about it. It was fantastic.
Yep. It was a palate cleansing from Moonfall. Let's put it that way. And I didn't hate Moonfall, but this was just so good. It literally makes up for all the crap that I've seen.
Yep. We will be back on Wednesday. We have a special guest Wednesday. In fact, hold on, Dennis, fill some time. I think I can grab the books real quick to show.
Oh, yeah, grab the books. We met them at one of the conventions that we went to, and they're putting out a book, Calico, and they're trying to put out the word, and we had kind of gotten some copies, and man, this stuff looks really cool. So I'm really excited to have them. So Andy was going to grab those.
So we'll be talking about, we'll be talking to the creator of Calico. Here comes Calico. H.H. German is the creator writer of it. The artist is Javier Orabach. Probably screwed that up, as I always do. The cool thing about this is Sigma Comics. As you can see right there, I've got the first 3 issues, and they support and donate money from this book to the AmericanHumane.org. So it's a book, Calico, as you can tell, kind of a cat type hero character. And we're going to be talking to H.H. German, the creator of it, on Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern. So tune in for that interview. That'll be a fun show for sure. So there you go.
And I know we sprung it on everybody, so a lot of you will probably see this afterwards. So if you do, make sure you smash the like and subscribe button. Leave your comments. We love hearing from you guys. AJ, I'm glad you were able to join us today. And yeah, I look forward to Wednesday's show.
All right. And everybody, please support indie comics like mine, First Man, Learning Curve, now on Indiegogo. Link in the description below. Please go check it out and lend me your support. And we'll see you guys Wednesday. Bye, everybody.
Live long and prosper.
Luke Henry, after kicking Monarch's ass to the depths of space, is back on Earth, and now he's looking to save the world from the Fourth World Foundation. Sure, he had help from Penumbra before, but she's not helping him this time. He's got to face it on his own. Look at these 4 people. He's coming for a villain known as Adonis. He'll do it. You'll be there. Back it now. First Man 2, Learning Curve.